Hey guys, welcome back. It is TechBlock here, coming at you again with another unit concept build video here. This one is going to center around our new mythic hero Naga. Just going to take you through what I think will be a good build for her, and then some of the best units to use alongside of her to take advantage of the support that she gives. And so I have this Boon Bane setup just because this is the one that I pulled in my Naga summoning video. If you guys saw that on my channel. Even with the attack boon, I don't view her as a primarily attacking unit. I still view her as basically a support unit that's going to sit in the back lines and kind of just provide this Divine Fang buff to your units. Again, it's super situational. I would use her for AR during her season, and then also if you're taking on heavily dragon teams. So she doesn't have crazy defense or res. Basically what I've done here is try to buff up her bulk as much as possible. As you can see, she has Sacred Cow to kind of deflect against ranged attacks that might be targeting her. That would probably be the biggest threat, especially if you're going to have someone next to her or in front of her trying to benefit from the buff of Divine Fang. Most units that would target her would be ranged units. Then also, because those are ranged units as well, we have Io's shield right here to help provide her, to help prevent against certain flying weaknesses. Obviously, we're going to keep Divine Fang because that is the whole point of building this unit, is to provide Divine Fang buffs to the other units that I cover in this video. And then Aerobatics 3 for additional movement tactic. And then obviously the best ace skill in the game as far as defense is concerned is Fortress Defense Res 3, providing +6 to both defense and res. I actually might go ahead and put this on my unit even though she is plus attack, just because I have an extra Idun sitting around. I actually have 2 extra Idun sitting around, so as much as I would hate to do it, she is great Fortress Defense Res fodder since Cliff doesn't really show up that much for me. So this is how I would build Naga as a support unit. I'm sure there are plenty of builds to make her an attacking unit, but I don't see her main usefulness in attacking. I see her main usefulness in providing the Divine Fang effective against dragons ability to other units. So the next unit we're going to talk about is Brave Celica. Now, this unit is what I like to call better Alm. So before, Alms were fine, was very similar to Celica, and they obviously have their differences where Celica could use Double Lion with a bunch of different weapons, while Alm was locked only using Double Lion on his falchion, but obviously Celica couldn't use it against dragons. Well, now any weapon she has, as long as she's next to Naga, is effective against dragons, making Alm basically a worse version of Celica. Also, we threw on Fire Sweep Sword here because that allows her to quad, especially with her speed here. It would allow her to quad most dragons and most units in general without having to take any damage in return. So Fire Sweep Sword is going to be probably the best weapon to give her. We have Gale Force just because we're going to give her Flashing Blade 4 in the A slot, and she is a great Gale Force unit. She comes with Gale Force already equipped, so you don't have to, it's not a huge investment to keep Gale Force on her. I know we recently got Merida, but Flashing Blade 4, especially with this build, would work amazing with Celica, just because she does have crazy high speed. Also, we're going to give her Joint Hone Speed to help buff up her speed just a little bit, to take care of some of the faster units or units that have crazy high speed on abyssal content. And in her special skill slot, we're going to give her Renewal, just because now that the skill is out, it has really broken Celica. Before, you would need to have a healer around, or you need to have some sort of unit like Air or Raisin and Leanne who could provide healing to Celica because Double Lion inflicts that -1 health penalty after using its effect. But now Renewal means Double Lion is good to go every other turn, regardless if you have a healer on the team or regardless if she is healing. This skill is a skill we've been waiting for. People who use Brave Celica have been waiting for this skill for a long time, and is now probably going to be game-breaking as far as using it in conjunction with Double Lion. So I think Brave Celica with Fire Sweep Sword, Gale Force, and Flashing Blade could be a really potent unit to use next to Naga. Now the next unit, I know you guys are waiting for it. It's going to be Reinhardt. Yes, a unit that I use fairly heavily. Just having him with a Brave Tome and how much he hits can make this weapon pretty potent, especially if you're going against dragons. We're also going to give him Moonbow Deathblow. I know this is a fairly common build for people who have Reinhardt, whether it is Deathblow 4 or Deathblow 3. I know most people have Deathblow 3, and some people have gone and give him Deathblow 4 just for that added firepower. But this is a really good build in my opinion. We keep Gold Cavalry on him because that's what he comes with. We give Chill Res to knock off res of whatever dragon you're going after, typically because dragons have higher res, and most dragons you'll be facing, whether it's in AR, Arena, Arena and Assault, are going to be merged up quite a bit. So Chill Res combined with Quick Impulse means you're going to get off that Moonbow on the second hit of Dire Thunder. And all in all, I know dragons are probably the unit that Reinhardt struggles with the most, especially ones that have distant counter built into their weapons, since 99% or 90% of dragons are now running Lightning Breath. So yeah, giving him that Divine Fang buff makes him incredibly potent and basically sweeping a lot of units, and now including dragons, in one turn. Now, I know a lot of people will not like seeing the next unit here, but for next we have a tank, and that will be a Surtur. And now, I don't think I need to explain why Surtur is just an insane tank. The fact that he has incredibly high defense plus steady stance 4, fairly phenomenal res for an armored unit, and we're going to buff up his res with warding stance. As you can see, Surtur is primarily built to be an enemy phase unit. Vengeful Fighter is actually a pretty common B skill to come across. There's quite a few armor units now have Vengeful Fighter in the game. I know I have a couple extra copies lying around, and I'm a free-to-play player, so anyone who summons regularly and puts any sort of investment in the game should be able to have a Vengeful Fighter to slap on Surtur. We don't really care. I know Wary Fighter, he comes with Wary Fighter, and it's good because of how disastrous his speed is, but because of how tanky he is between Steady Stance 4 and Warding Stance 3, we don't really care if we take 2 hits, because it's going to be 2 times 0, 2 times 1, 2 times 2, unless they have an effect against armor or they are heavily invested in units. So obviously we want to help. I know putting Warding Stance 4 here would be optimal, inheriting that from Fallen Berkut, especially if we're going to make him a tank primarily against dragons, since that's what his build is for. This would give his Sigmara, apart from having insane attack, and then also the buffs and debuffs provided by Surtur's Menace, Sigmara would also be effective against dragons, making him an incredible tank if you were to stick him in front of Naga, and he could tank most any unit now, including dragons, even some like Idun who have effective against armor skills. And so before I got off on that tangent, obviously, ideally to make him a dragon tank, you want to put Warding Stance 4 right here from Fallen Berkut, but that's a heavy investment load to throw onto a Surtur. So I just wanted to keep with his Steady Stance 4, and we continue to make him probably mixed bulk. Warding Stance 3 will provide plus 6 res, and then obviously with Surtur's Menace giving him plus 4 that brings him up to 43 res, which is pretty insane. So I don't think we really need to waste a Fallen Berkut on someone like Surtur. But yeah, this is a great build. Vengeful Fighter will ensure that he doubles any unit that attacks him. You could also give him Distant Counter because his defense is so high already. So steady stance 4 is a little bit overkill at this point, so we want to go in here. If you have any spare Hectors lying around, a Distant Counter would also work. But yeah, having him as a tank, meaning he really comes pre-built as a tank regardless. And we put Pivot on there just in case Naga goes out in front of him and he wants to get in front. So you could easily pivot in front of Naga. So again, just making him as tanky as possible, a very, very fearsome unit to stick in front of Naga, and then giving him Effect Against Dragons only deters more people engaging with him than there already are. So the next unit that we're going to probably talk about is Pacaya, and I put her on this list just because her Tome Thani already has Cavalry and Armor effectiveness, and giving her Dragon effectiveness as well is just making her like a Swiss Army knife of the game. It means that she would be able to take on many units and have effectiveness against most units in the game. Especially since a lot of the new units that are coming out, we are not seeing too many new infantry units. We're seeing a lot of cavalry units, seeing a lot of dragons, and a lot of armor units. So this Thani Tome would provide her with basically effectiveness against 90% of the units in the game. For this build right here, this would be a great build going up against, if you're going to throw her in to attack. So obviously we have Deathblow 3, some of you who have Deathblow 4 fodder sitting around, and if you do, lucky you, I don't have that. Deathblow 3 to give her added hit, because her attack isn't crazy high, so this would bump that up to about 55, ensuring a one-hit KO from her since her speed is pretty pathetic. Also we have Chill Res to kind of lower the opposing unit's resistance stat. Again, we will need that in order for her to one-shot whatever she goes up against. Also, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see what she would do with Pulse Smoke. I didn't really know what good C slots to give her, so I know Pulse Smoke is new and I've seen it used pretty effectively by people, so I think throwing her in there, especially if it's against a dragon team who and there's other units who are using Infantry Rush or other or Ostian's Pulse or other skills that lower cooldowns, I think this would be really effective to kind of protect her. And obviously she is pretty high res, so having she could probably tank a hit from a dragon. Also, after she tanks that, we give her Brazen Attack res just to bump that up even more. I think it would synergize better with Brazen Attack res if she had Fury in her A slot. So, again, to each their own. A little bit less attack, but then you get more speed, more defense, more res, and then obviously having that chip damage come in afterwards will certainly help bring her into the attack res range, I believe, after 2 turns. So if you have a dancer, after the first turn, you would be in that Brazen Attack, giving +7 to her attack when she goes in to try to one-shot opponents. Also, you could turn her into, if you're very into AR, I know there's a lot of Pacayas, you could turn her into a Vantage Trap. So, let's get Vantage on her. Why is this not working? There we go. We could certainly put Vantage on her. Maybe instead of Fury, we'd give her Life and Death, just to kind of bulk up her visible attack stats, since Death Blow would not be effective on the enemy phase. So as you can see, Life and Death gives her pretty high attack here. And then if you're playing AR, oops, let's go back up here. Sorry for moving the screen there. But as you can see, throw her on a lightning trap tile. She instantly, because of how low her HP is, if someone has their lightning trap upgraded at least once, she would fall below. Actually, if they don't even have it upgraded at all, she would fall below that 75% threshold. And now she is going to tank most units that come at her, and whether they are cavalry, dragon, or armor, she could tank them pretty well. So again, there's a lot of options to build your Pacayas, but I think she would be nice to throw alongside a Naga just because she already has effectiveness against armor and cavalry units, and this really just makes her just useful against so many different unit types in the game. Finally, we have a unit that people use a lot as a tank, especially in AR, and that is Hot Springs Camilla. She obviously has a lot of utility, being a colorless unit, with the massive amount of mages in AR. She is definitely a great unit to invest in if you want her to be a tank. You can certainly turn her into a Vantage Trap as well, but again, with her attack stat being even lower than Pacaya's, I wouldn't recommend it. Right here, we have kind of the Fury Brazen Attack Res synergy between her A skill and her Sacred Seal slot. Also, we're just going to slap Cancel Affinity on her, just in case you're trying to take out any tome users that have effective against colorless units. And she also already has built-in Desperation into her weapon. So instead of, I know the Ouch Pouch is a great dagger to use because it gives you that special cooldown immediately off the start, but Starfish is really appreciated as a weapon because it has Desperation. And so with a lot of units from that summer banner, you could have Desperation, Vantage, and Brash Assault all on one unit, which is something that people have been trying to figure out since these skills came out. So being able to have Desperation, Brash Assault, and Vantage all in a unit, that's a crazy build in and of itself, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Hot Springs Camilla. So again, giving her Starfish so she can use Desperation, which also synergizes with Fury, as I believe it takes 2 turns of the Fury trigger damage to get her into that Desperation range. And then if she is tanking units, she'll probably get down into that range faster. So again, Brazen Attack Res in order to help her tank mages that appear on AR pretty frequently. And then also once she gets into that range, she'll have more attack to counterattack with. And then after she's done taking out the mages, since most defense teams have a dragon on them in some sort of fashion, just because they are great tanky units and really great versatile units that people have trouble dealing with, put her next to Naga, get that effective against dragons on her Starfish, then hopefully she's in Desperation range, go attack, get two attacks right off the start back to back without getting counterattacked, and it's pretty much over. So that's why I wanted to throw this in. And it's also a free unit. The other units I have listed here are not free units, and this one is free unit, so everyone is assured to have her. So hope you guys, I know I ranted there for a little bit. This video definitely took a lot longer than I really wanted it to, so I do apologize about that, but hopefully I gave you some ideas to think about, inspired you a little bit. If you were able to pull a Naga, some units that you would want to use alongside of her to take full advantage of her Divine Fang C skill. And let me know what you think. Let me know some of your builds in the comments below and what builds you've used in order to synergize with Naga's support skill. If you've liked this, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. It's free to you and helps me out a lot. Also, come check me out at Twitter, at TechBlogFay. I'm there. I'm trying to be more active on Twitter, but you can definitely catch when I post new videos. I will post them on my Twitter as well. And that kind of wraps it up for today. I think Naga has 3 more days to be summoned, so if you haven't gotten her, good luck and have a great day. Take care.